Hey everybody, welcome to the P21 worksheet. Now we are looking at trying to find the slope of the line from an equation. All right, so last few sections we've been looking at actually finding the slope. Now what we want to do is just be able to identify what is the slope when we look at an equation. All right, so one thing I want you to recognize here is that every one of these equations is written in this form. It's got a y equal to, 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 equals. There's a number in front of the x, and remember if there's not a number in front of the x, it's always a 1, or in the case of number 7, a negative sign means there's a negative 1, followed by an x, followed by a plus or a minus, another number. All right, what we're interested in is the slope here. Well, the fact is, it's very easy to find the slope. It is just the number in front of the x, not including the x, just the number in front of the x. So in this case, what we do, and I'm setting you up for future problems here, we like to put variables in for those two blanks. And so what we will often talk about is y equal mx plus b. M stands for slope. We don't want to use an s here for a variable because s looks too much like a 5. So mathematicians switched it a long time ago and they said, oh, let's call it a mountain slope. So they used the word or the letter M. And then for our y-intercept here, we use the letter B. B is our y-intercept, and we'll talk about that in another section. But what we're interested in here is identifying the slope. And so we look at question number 1, and that number in front of the x is just a 7. And so we're going to say, hey, our slope, or M, is equal to 7. If you want to write slope equals 7, I'm okay with that. Or m equals 7. Either one works for me. Might as well get used to using the m. In the case of number 3, number in front of the x is a fraction. It is okay for a fraction. Matter of fact, we prefer a fraction when it comes to slope because we have a rise over right. All right. In question number 1, when we had a slope of 7, what it really meant was 7 over 1. If you want to include the over 1, doesn't hurt to do that. In the case of number 5, the slope is the number in front of the x. In this case, it is negative 5/4. That's all we're looking for in these guys. All right. Now, in number 7, because there is no number in front of the x, remember that's a 1 in front, but the negative sign means that our slope is going to be a negative 1, not just a 1. Okay, the negative belongs to the 1, not to the x, to the 1 that is in front of the x. And last but not least, number 9, of course, negative 2. And if you want to, remember it's always a fraction. You could always put it over 1 if you want, just like on number 7. If you want to put it over 1, you can do that. Your job is to finish out the even problems. Send this back to me. If you're doing really, really well at it, I'll send you the assessment that goes with it. I do want to remind you that this section does not affect your grade, but it certainly is going to be something that will help you next year in algebra. So make sure you're working ahead and trying to figure this stuff out. Sounds good. See you guys.